Welcome back to the Celtics Nation Rise account. I'm Griffin Aldrich, and we have some breaking news. Chris Boucher has been traded to the Utah Jazz. Other further details are yet to be determined, but I'm gonna pull up the tweet right here. Via Sean Sharania, the Boston Celtics are trading Chris Boucher to the Utah Jazz. Sources tell ESPN. For me, I think this is a great move for the Boston Celtics to make because, with Chris Boucher, he, you know, it looked like one foot was out of the door, and it was time for him to get the opportunity elsewhere and prove his talents because this is a guy who, the Celtics haven't played pretty much all season, had a shot the other night, got 3 points, but other than that, he has not played for the Boston Celtics. And this is a crazy move because, you know, either I think this is what the options were going to be for the Boston Celtics. Either the Boston Celtics were going to buy out his contract and give him an opportunity elsewhere or trade him because we talked about this recently. There were teams that were interested in Chris Boucher. So having him actually find a team and go elsewhere, I think is beneficial to him because I think the Utah Jazz too are a team where, we mentioned it, and I'll put this up really quick. They just traded for Jaren Jackson Jr., as you see the tweet right here. So it could, we could look at this and say that the Jazz are buyers and they're going to look to be competitive. I think they're going to be competitive, but I was listening to the broadcast last night on NBC Sports Boston, and they even think that they're going to try to look to get one more good guy before they seriously become contenders. And I'm not really far off of that. I agree. I think that, this is a year where they're going to give Boucher opportunities. And Boucher is a player that I would even trust on a championship caliber team. I mean, last year, he was very great with the Toronto Raptors. And even in preseason, it wasn't a huge sample size, but we had a couple good games from Chris Boucher. However, did not fit in within our roster. And I think that's the problem. And I think that was kind of the setback. And that's the thing that you're just going to have to deal with. Looking at the roster, he wasn't getting time here. And I like the Jazz for a home for him because I think he's going to get time there. And I like that position for Boucher. And thank you again to Boucher because, again, I think he was mistreated here. I think he was a very good person that was very well into the community, gave a lot back to Boston. And, he was a huge asset. He was a huge asset to this team. Good clubhouse person, at a locker room guy, whatever you want to call it. So I loved having him here. You saw on the Celtics community page, he was always doing something, whether it be standing up for mental health, whether it be talking about himself. Even we talked earlier, Joe Mazzulla went to his bar mitzvah. So there was definitely a connection with Boucher here, but I'm glad that he's finally getting an opportunity elsewhere. And I think, it was early when he was in his benching stage. He posted a thing with like a emoji, like putting his head down and stuff. But I think there must have been conversations behind the closed doors that, hey, look, you're not going to be with the team for long. And it's not against you. It's us, we want to do something else. We'll move you at trade deadline, see what you can do or something. I think there were conversations that were had with closed doors. But you look at this and I think, I'm happy for Boucher because now he's getting an opportunity elsewhere. And, the Boucher experiment did not really work. But again, it was fun to have him in Boston, and a lot of Raptors fans were even mad at us for misusing him and not giving him a chance. And even Celtics fans, I've heard already, have been upset on this. And I'm upset because I love having Boucher on the roster, but I think this is better for him because he deserves to play. He deserves to be a player that could actually provide for a team instead of sit on the bench. However, Celtics fans grown to love him. I heard a conversation already that, he's had conversations with people, got to meet people on personal aspects and stuff. And even when I was at the game, and I've heard all the time, I looked over and he was signing autographs for everyone. And I guess he does it like every pregame. Like he was just a very nice, humble person to have with the Boston Celtics. Again, we don't know what happened with closed doors because I think this was an opportunity in a retooling year for Boston, we've called it, for Chris Boucher to get an opportunity with the team, but did not end up really getting a big opportunity. So thankful that Chris Boucher could finally give his talents elsewhere, and we will always love and have a place in our heart for Chris Boucher. Even though he did not get a lot of playing time, this was a player that I love to see in Boston, and I wish Chris Boucher nothing but the best in Utah. And I hope he gets plenty of playing time, and I can't wait to see him there. But with that being said, you guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe and turn on post notifications to be notified. And go check out our trade deadline special live. Go check that out, and we will see you guys with the next one. Peace, you guys.